Yo, what's up, guys? Thank you so much for joining me on the second ChromoCast. I got a lot of stuff I want to talk about today, a little bit more than yesterday. A lot of stuff happened yesterday, man. So let's just jump in, dude. Trump chose loyalist Pam Bondi for Attorney General after Matt Gaetz withdraws. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Loyalist, I don't know if I would call her a loyalist, not as much as Matt Gaetz. And then, second thing, there's a lot of framing issues I have with this article. Like, and I think this is a good opportunity to kind of point out some of the propaganda that our mainstream media uses, because I really feel like some of the framing in this article is straight up false. And the way they do it is really subtle. And I think it's a good opportunity to kind of show you guys how that works. But let's just get started, guys. President-elect Donald Trump has named Pam Bondi, the former Attorney General of Florida, to be the U.S. Attorney General just hours after his other choice, Matt Gaetz, withdrew his name. President-elect Donald Trump said Thursday he would nominate former Attorney General Pam Bondi to lead the Justice Department, turning to a longtime ally after his first choice, Matt Gaetz, withdrew his name from consideration amid scrutiny over sex trafficking allegations. Okay, so first up, this is the number one issue I have with the framing, okay? This sex trafficking allegation issue is nothing new. Matt Gaetz, was it like a year or a little over a year ago, brought this to the news cycle himself, holding a press conference saying people were attempting to blackmail him with this, okay? And he's denied it vehemently, as they say later in the article. And so it's crazy. This is not a new news cycle. And this is not why he's having trouble being considered. See, he's having trouble being considered because of his quote unquote extreme views and his quote unquote lack of a resume, right? But they're using this to smear his name in the news. This is a subtle method that they use, okay? Straight up, they're lying to you right here. Like right here, this is not honest. This is not honest. The AP News is using this to try to smear his name and make things difficult for further election cycles for him, and so that they can try to have this in the record of history so that they can use this for Oppo research later. Okay, so Bondi has been an outspoken defender of Trump. She was one of his lawyers during his first impeachment trial when he was accused but not convicted of abusing his power as he tried to condition U.S. military assistance to Ukraine on that country investigating former then President Joe Biden. Okay. This is another one. This is completely dishonest. He was not. There was no condition in the phone in President Trump's correspondence with Ukraine. There was no condition. He had told them, look, we got your back. We got the aid. We're going to send you aid. This is something I want you to look into, because just before that, in the news cycle, what came out was videos of Joe Biden himself saying on stage that he had had a call with Ukraine when he was vice president, and that he had told Ukraine, if you don't fire the prosecutor looking into, I think it was Burisma Holdings, because his son was hired by Burisma Holdings. He said, if you don't fire the prosecutor looking into them, it was an oil conglomerate. If you don't fire that prosecutor, you're not getting $1 billion. Joe Biden said that on stage on national television, recorded, bro. Like he was talking to a think tank. Like the fact that Joe Biden and the Obama administration engaging in quid pro quo was what Trump wanted looked into. And the fact that they had twisted that entire narrative and tried to make it all about Trump in an effort to conceal and hide that from entering the news cycle, bro. And then now the way they're trying to alter the permanent record of history by using this method of framing, it's completely dishonest. And you guys need to be aware of this stuff when you're reading your news, because they're trying to manipulate you through these subtle mechanisms. And she was among a group of Republicans who showed support to Trump at his New York hush money criminal trial that ended in May on a conviction on 34 felony accounts. It's crazy, man. It's packed. It's packed so dense. Okay. So this is what they're not telling you about the hush money trial. Okay. So the 34 felony accounts, in order to establish that, they had to extend the statute of limitations twice. Okay. One of those, they extended it by 3 years due to COVID. Okay. The other one was they extended it by changing it to a felony because I believe it was 5 years it was 5 years for the misdemeanor version and 7 years for the felony. And they only were able to get the felony in because they extended the statute of limitations because of COVID. The funny thing is they didn't extend the statute of limitations for anyone else because of COVID. It's very interesting. Let's see how many cases were dropped or dismissed on drug dealers or violent criminals during the COVID. Okay, this is ridiculous. The selective prosecution and the weaponization of lawfare is ridiculous and it's completely inappropriate. And it weakens our government's soft power. And that is dangerous for us. And it weakens our look as a legitimate government and legitimate country on the world stage to be engaging in stuff like this. It also destroys the desire for people to invest and engage in real estate in New York because of how the Southern District of New York's prosecuting attorney is treating people. Okay, so not only did they extend that, not only did they change it, you know why they decided it was a felony? They decided so it's 34 counts of the same thing. Usually that gets wrapped up into a single charge. They decided to charge it separately now. 34 counts of the same thing. 34 counts of what? 34 counts of falsifying business records. Okay. Why was he falsifying business records? Because apparently he was knowing and intentionally hiding hush money payments to Stormy Daniels. Now, here's the crazy thing. On the stand that everyone just likes to ignore, on the stand, Michael Cohen admitted that he had never told Trump that any money was going to Stormy Daniels and that Trump was never aware that any money was going to Stormy Daniels. So how is there a felony hiding of hush money? Now, here's the thing. Stormy Daniels signed a letter stating that she had never had sex with Trump. Never had sex with Trump. So Michael Cohen admitted to stealing money from Trump multiple times. One of those times was the $100,000 that he gave to Stormy Daniels. Stormy Daniels said in an official affidavit that she had never had sex with Trump. So where are you establishing the felony here? Okay. And if I'm outside looking in, I'm going to be real with you. It looks like Michael Cohen was scamming Trump. And at some point, maybe Michael Cohen was the one that slept with Stormy Daniels and had to hush it up. Okay. Like, bro, the weaponization of lawfare and then the way that they're using it to try and attempt to establish framing into the permanent record is so dishonest. It's so dishonest that, in my opinion, it crosses the line into actual legitimate fascism because of the way it's specifically being used to target political opposition. Okay. And the way it's being used consistently to attempt to create an excuse in the cultural zeitgeist and the narrative for essentially a one-party state by demonizing an entire other political party. It's wrong and it's essentially a lie. It's dishonest. You are bearing false witness when you engage in stuff like this. And then, so this is a quote from Trump. "For too long, the partisan Department of Justice has been weaponized against me and other Republicans. Not anymore," Trump said in a social media post. "Pam will refocus the DOJ in its intended purpose of fighting crime and making America safe again." Exactly. That's true. For all the reasons I just stated, that's absolutely true. And even before this, during the Obama administration, the IRS was caught targeting conservatives. So this is nothing new. This has been happening. This is the corporate neoliberal encroachment in our country. And they are demonizing classical liberalism and attempting to demonize and paint classical liberalism as fascism. That's what's going on in our country right now. It's called the neoliberal playbook. I have it on my website. I encourage anyone to read any of the articles on my website. I genuinely feel like they will help you gain an understanding of what's going on in the world around you. That's why I write them. And then they do it again. Gates stepped aside amid continued fallout over federal sex trafficking. This is what they do. This is the framing that they use. This is how dishonest our media is, guys. And so I wanted to go ahead and look into Pam Bondi, a little bit of who Pam Bondi is. Let's see. Born 1965, an American attorney, lobbyist, politician. That's horrifying to hear. Okay. I'm glad she has nice rhetoric, though, and has done good things. She seemed to do good things. It's not impossible to be a good person who wants to invoke real change in our country and then use the current system that we're at to do it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not trying to demonize someone outright. I just don't like hearing that on its face. Lobbyist, politician, attorney. So you're a legal expert, and then now you're a revolving door between corporate lobbies and being a politician. That's scary. You sound like the exact type of person that would know exactly how to abuse that position. But, you know, I'm not trying to make assumptions, especially not if she's made good moves in this country. In 2020, Bondi was one of President Trump's defense lawyers during we already went over that. Cool. Early life and education. Bondi's hometown is in Temple Terrace, Florida. Her father, Joseph Bondi, was a city council member and then mayor of Temple Terrace. She is a graduate of C. Leon King High School in Tampa. Bondi received a Bachelor of Arts with a major in criminal justice from the University of Florida. I had half a college degree done in high school and then ran around doing the wrong thing and got into a whole bunch of trouble. I'm not sure how that even works. What is a Bachelor of Arts in criminal justice? Please, somebody tell me. That's embarrassing. I think I just embarrassed myself. Look, I'm sorry, guys. All right. Bondi, let's see, and a Juris Doctor from the Stetson University College of Law in 1990. So she knows her shit when it comes to law. Am I wrong? That means she's gone to graduate school for law. Am I right? I mean, you know, so she knows her stuff. And then she was admitted to the Florida bar in 1991. So she's been active in her career since 1991. And so she was also Attorney General. Okay. So she's aware of the relationship between the corporate lobby system and politicians, and she was an Attorney General in Florida. What did she do in Florida as an Attorney General? I think that will give us context. What did she do in law, right? And oftentimes people don't have much agency in their early career. It's about receiving and learning, right? So I'm interested to see how her worldview was framed through her experiences in her early law, and then how she used it through her lobbying and action as a politician, and how she was as an Attorney General. And then that should be able to give us context for how she's going to use her expertise here. Let's see. Acted as a prosecutor and spokeswoman in Hillsborough County, Florida, where she was an assistant state attorney. Bondi resigned the position to seek office of Attorney General of Florida. She made guest appearances on Scarborough Country with Joe Scarborough and other various news cable programming, MSNBC. So she's been in the mix for a minute. Let's see. Ran for election in 2010, facing off against former state representative Holly Benson. Let's see. She was media savvy, 2010, media savvy. You had to be relatively connected. That makes sense, given her career history. Let's see. Boom, boom. Bondi was the lead Attorney General in an unsuccessful lawsuit seeking to overturn the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, known as Obamacare. Okay. Well, I mean, there was a lot wrong with Obamacare, especially back then. There's a lot wrong with Obamacare now. I think that's a whole nother conversation. If you look at how affordable Mexico's healthcare system is versus ours, and places like that. But let's see. She let a chant lock her up. Okay. So she jumped on the MAGA bandwagon really early. Defended the Second Amendment. That's good. No, whoa, wait, what? Okay. See, I'm more of a libertarian in that stuff. So apparently in 2008, she worked to ban, on Amendment 2 in Florida, to add to the Constitution an amendment banning same-sex marriage. And she worked against legal challenges on behalf of the state. But She claimed these actions do not reflect her opinion on same-sex marriage, but are out of respect for the Constitution. Following the 2016 Orlando nightclub shooting in 2016, okay, yeah, you said that twice, Bondi was interviewed by CNN reporter Anderson Cooper, who said that Bondi's expression of the LGBT support for the LGBT community was at odds with her past. Cooper said that Bondi was either mistaken or not telling the truth. And Bondi accused Cooper of fomenting anger or hate in August of 2018. Okay. All right. But yeah, Joe Biden did the same thing. So she's a classic conservative, fundraising controversies. She's a Scientologist. Oh, man. All right. So she's kind of establishment. In 2013, she persuaded Wick Scott to postpone a scheduled execution because it conflicted with a fundraising event. That's classic politician shit. All right. So she's a classic politician and a classic conservative. And I don't see much on the real Second Amendment, just some okay. Yeah, but this is also Wikipedia, so who knows? All right, so this is American First. This is America First. This is a pro-Bondi outlet, so this is going to be a little more pro-Bondi. It's going to try to sell her to us, so let's try to see what they say. It's a little bit more focused on maybe what we're interested into. So maybe it's going to have information a bit more relevant to what we're interested in, but let's be aware of it at the same time as trying to sell her to us. Pam Bondi is from Tampa, Florida. She serves as the chair of the Center for Litigation and co-chair for the Center of Law and Justice at AFPI, American First Private Institute, or American First Policy Institute. A fourth-generation Floridian, Bondi spent more than 18 years as prosecutor, trying cases ranging from domestic violence to capital murder. She served as Florida's 37th and first female attorney general. When Bondi took office, Florida was referred to as the pill mill capital of the United States. Man, you could have made some money back then, bro. Damn, son, with a script, you'd even get pulled over and not get in trouble. Jeez, bro. United States, and serving her first legislative session, she successfully advanced reforms to eliminate unscrupulous doctors and clinics operating in Florida. Bondi served on the President's Opiate and Drug Abuse Commission under the President Donald Trump, where she worked alongside other national leaders in areas of drug prevention, interdiction, and in treatment. Bondi was also a strong champion for the First Step Act, which helps formerly incarcerated inmates re-enter society and safely prevents recidivism. Bondi is a partner at Ballard Partners, Washington, D.C., where she offers the chairs the firm's corporate regulatory practice. She received her Bachelor of Arts in Criminal Justice in the University of Florida and her Juris Doctor from Stetson Law School. Bondi splits her time between Tampa and Washington, D.C., where she's on the Board of Trustees at the Kennedy Center. And in Tampa, Bondi enjoys watching all the great... Okay, yeah. All right. So she's heavily connected to the Republican establishment. She embraced MAGA early. She's got a lot of experience in what the direction that they want to take the DOJ. So it seems like Matt Gaetz was more about punishment and retribution, and Bondi's more about refocus and realignment. And so I can understand that. It's less enjoyable for me, personally, because I would like to see some punishment and retribution prior to the realignment. But sure. You make the establishment a little less scared of you on your way in. I understand that. All right, let's see. Areas of expertise: weaponization, rogue prosecutors, citizen rights. Should there be a comma between that? Rogue prosecutors and citizen rights. Okay, let's see. Oh. Promoting citizen rights. Citizens have no right to recall DA. Oh, nice. No, because we have rogue prosecutors all over this country that are the main issue. So cops will arrest people and they will bring them in and the DA will drop the charges. And that's part of the reason why you have these issues. This is awesome. Okay. I actually really like that. That's a focus that they're thinking about. All right. Okay. So now let's straight up look at a left-wing perspective on who Bondi is, all right? Who is Pam Bondi? Trump's new choice for Attorney General. Florida's first female state Attorney General. She became a member of Donald Trump's impeachment defense team and backed his false claims of election fraud in 2020. The reason why I'm bringing you guys through all these different sources is because this is a healthy process for navigating your information, okay? I learned that Trump picked Pam Bondi because Matt Gaetz dropped out. I'm freaked out. I'm like, who is Pam Bondi? I don't like this. I read she's a lobbyist and politician mixed together with legal expertise. That makes me even more nervous. I'm like, who is this? And I'm trying to get context and framing on her background from different sources with different opinions. The next stage further than this, I'm going to leave it at here and then we'll move on. The next stage further from this is getting into her record as a politician and her record as an attorney general, and specifically looking at the cases that she's been involved in. And then I like to first start with a focus on the issues that I find important. And then if I have the time, I like to move on to the other issues as well, because I like to see what arguments that she's making in the filings and what is important in terms of her legal philosophy and how she might apply legal philosophy from an area that I find more relevant to. It helps you establish the framing and the thinking of the person. And this is how you navigate your news and get your information, guys. Don't trust your headlines at all. They're all lying to you. Every single one of these that we read is lying to us because they have an agenda that they want to sell to us. And so we have to navigate through that and defeat that in order to access the truth and create our own independent perspective that we can work from and live on, right? And we use this to help frame our worldview. I've got articles on all of this stuff on building an independent worldview, on navigating media bias, on recognizing propaganda. Please, guys, go to itschromo.com and check out some of this stuff. And then if you're interested at all, I've got in my shop, I've got clothes that are designed to inspire critical thinking and nuanced perspectives in the subconscious minds of the people around you. So you're wearing the clothes and it's getting people to think twice about what they think about the world. You know what I mean? And just trying to nudge people towards a nuanced perspective. You know what I mean? But let's move on. Okay. Who is Pam Bondi? Trump's new choice for Attorney General. We went through that. Let's see. Florida's first female state attorney general. She became a member of Donald Trump's impeachment defense team and backed his false claims of election fraud in 2020. Man, here's the thing, bro. In the court, it was dismissed on standing. The issue, those cases that were brought to the court, you know what standing means? When a court dismisses something on standing, it's dismissing it because the person who is bringing the case, the plaintiff, is not the one who's injured. So they do not have a right to, only the injured party has a right to file a lawsuit or request somebody else file a lawsuit on their behalf. But the injured party has to be involved and named in the lawsuit. If it's not legally the injured party who's filing the lawsuit, then the lawsuit cannot go forward because you're going to award somebody who has nothing to do with the situation? You know, somebody's going to be like, oh, I watched this guy punch this other guy in the face. Pay me $10 million. That's not how that works. The person who got punched in the face has to be the one to file the lawsuit. So when you see something get dismissed on standing in courts, it means it was dismissed before the court even had an opportunity to review the argument on its merits. So the court was like, whoa, you're not even the one that's allowed to come talk to me about this, bro. Go somewhere else. I'm not even allowed to be talking to you about this. That's what it means for something to be dismissed on standing. It does not mean the court saw it and said, this is an illegitimate case. There is no injured party here. That's not what dismissed on standing means. So I just want to make that clear because there's really no clarification in our media about how that works and how that system of being dismissed on standing works for people to actually get a framework of understanding for why people are so frustrated with what occurred during 2020 and the fallout from it, okay? Because what people were upset about were the way the states, because each state independently runs their own elections, as they have a right to because they're sovereign entities, right? They're basically their own countries, like the European Union, okay? So they run their own elections and they have their own systems in place because it's based on the philosophy that communities have a right to self-governance. Okay. And so we have a federal framework that respects each community's individual right to self-governance. And ideally in the state is supposed to respect each county government, because it's supposed to be a decentralized framework of governance where at the bottom, people have the most power and they vote locally. And that is where the most change is affected on those local elections, right? That's supposed to be the framework because it's supposed to respect that philosophically. But we have this neoliberal encroachment, like I was talking about earlier, that reframes everything into this national perspective. And thankfully, we're seeing a resurgence of an alternate perspective here in our country. But it's just, and so the argument was that states illegally changed and ignored their own constitution to change laws during 2020 using COVID as an excuse to remove checking signatures, to remove checking the dates on ballots, to remove checking for things like double ballots in certain places. And so there were independent lawsuits that were all brought and saying, hey, these states are ignoring their own state constitutions. And there, especially in Pennsylvania, it's interesting because in Pennsylvania, the state Supreme Court literally ruled that that Congress is allowed to, the election board is allowed to ignore its own state constitution for election procedures for the 2020 election. The state Supreme Court, Pennsylvania's own Supreme Court, essentially ruled that. Right? And so people tried to bring that to the federal government. And part of the argument is, the federal government doesn't have any say in this. Like the federal government doesn't have the jurisdiction to say, Pennsylvania, you gotta follow your own constitution. That interestingly enough, our federal government actually does not have the power to say that to the states. So the situation is a lot more nuanced than it is being presented in the media. And you could even say in that case, sure, it was illegitimate and they did not have standing or right to bring that to the federal government because the state of Pennsylvania and the Pennsylvania government is a sovereign entity. And you're absolutely right about that. You would absolutely be right about that. But would you be right in saying morally that people have no reason for being upset or feeling screwed over or manipulated? I don't think so. I think people absolutely would still have a right to be upset and have a right to attempt to redress grievances over that. So it's a complicated situation. And I think in some instances, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place when it comes to federal jurisdiction and state sovereignty, as you should be. But at the same time, I feel like to dismiss these people that have these concerns is absolutely wrong. So I want to make that clear. So Pam Bondi, I'm really over her now. I want to move on from this. I feel like I understand and I'm comfortable with this change. But let's see. So the left says President-elect Donald Trump quickly swept aside Thursday's bad headlines about Matt Gaetz speedily substituting Pam Bondi, a fellow Florida Republican with a stark different profile, but a similar reputation for fealty to be his attorney general. So they're going to say that she's, a loyalist to a fascist. We already know, but let's figure out what they mean by it. And sometimes they like to make that argument from an anti-corporate relationship perspective. And I am an anti-corporate relationship guy, so I'll take something from that sometimes. Miss Bondi, 59, is a lobbyist and a Trump loyalist who served as Florida's attorney general from 2011 to 2019. She has charted more conventional and less clamorous course than Matt Gaetz. Yeah. Duh. Little ugly personal baggage, whatever. Okay. She was a local prosecutor, Bondi, daughter of mayor, Tampa, began working as an assistant to the state attorney general in Hillsborough. So her whole career, she's like a Republican version of Kamala Harris, dog. When you think about it, you know what I mean? Like, dude, like what? Okay. Anyway, supervised a handful of high profile cases, most notably involving former New York Mets pitcher who served 1 year prison sentence for violating probation in a drug case. Elected Florida first female attorney general. A Democrat until 2000. Emerged. Very interesting. So we were talking about how she entered and began her political career in 1991. And, they say a lot of people are Democrats until they're Republicans. Whatever. So when she was a lawyer / lobbyist, potentially politician, I don't know. Is that what she was doing back then? Are they saying that she was a Democrat? That's interesting. That's very interesting. Why did she change during 2000? That's very interesting. Let's see. Miss Bondi, a Democrat 2000, emerged from a crowded Republican primary to win Attorney General's race after garnering support from Sarah Palin, the former Alaskan governor and failed Republican vice presidential nominee. Okay, let's see. During her 8-year tenure, she tried to unsuccessfully overturn the Affordable Care Act and opposed expanding legal protections for LGBTQ. So, right, she tried to overturn single-payer health care, and she was against same-sex marriage. We already know this. She cultivated national reputation by supporting anti-human trafficking efforts, classic conservative stuff. Garner support from the Christians with anti-human trafficking. Great, good, we love it. And then just oppose, take classic Republican social positions. Sure. All right, they don't really have much to offer. Cool. Moving on. Sweet. Stuff we already knew. All right. The Hill. Federal Communication Commission's chair, Jessica Rosenworcel, announced Wednesday that she will depart from the regulatory agency on Inauguration Day when President Trump returns to the White House. The FCC, huge history of having a giant connection and relationship with big tech. Screw big tech. Screw neo-feudalism. Screw technocracy. And screw the neoliberalism that their entire communication system promotes by centralizing all of the decentralized communication systems of the web through social media and everything. So, screw that and screw her and get the hell out. Please get out. Yes, I'm glad to hear that she's getting out. Her departure was largely expected. And then it was just days after he had tapped someone else, Brendan Carr, to be the new head. Brendan Carr has a history, from what I've heard lately, of being against and very anti big tech and very critical of big tech, which is nice. I heard it in passing. I showed you guys with the Attorney General the process to go through with this stuff to figure out. Please go through that with Brendan Carr, as I will off screen. I don't want to waste too much of your time, guys. I'm just excited. FCC chair on the way out, new FCC chair on the way in. Let's get it. Okay. Let's see. Pathologist disputes finding that the Marine. So you guys remember his name was Neely. Was it Jordan Neely? Boom. It's right here. Jordan Neely. Okay. In New York. There was this dude in the subway cracked out on drugs or methed out. Yo, you're on uppers enough days without sleep, you start to lose your freaking mind. And you start thinking people are coming after you, okay? I think that's what was going on with this guy. And he was in the subway, and he was, losing it, bro. And he's like, I'm gonna effing kill everybody. I'm gonna kill you guys. I'm gonna kill somebody. Threatening people, this, that, and the third, getting rowdy. You know what I mean? And scaring the shit out of people. There were people that were interviewed in the news the day after or leaving or whatever, same day or whatever. I just saw them in the news. And they were like, I've been on the subway for 40 years, and this is the most scared I've ever been in my life, for real. This dude comes in, holds the guy in a chokehold, says, hey, calm down, I'll let go. Dude doesn't calm down. Dude passes out. Cops come. Dude's, let's go. Hour and a half later, dude dies, okay? They were trying to say this dude was racist and some fascist and, racistly wanted to kill some sort of fucking minority, okay? It was like another Bernard Goetz situation. Look up Bernard Goetz, 1985. I actually got a song, Bernard Goetz, on my YouTube. Check it out. It's not race. It's about living in a dangerous place, dealing with situations popping off you cannot replace. Anyway, okay. But bro, the freaking pathologist came out and said, look, it wasn't racism, guys. Chill out, man. Dude, good. I'm tired of this. Everyone's trying to turn everything into critical theory, this, that, and the third. Critical theory is an invalid philosophy and perspective. It's built on logical fallacies. Okay, there's nothing to gain from reducing the reality around you into power constructs, because that's not how the human mind functions. You need a full understanding of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs in order to understand how a human being functions. And you need to apply that in a nuanced way to your observations of them and your interactions with them. Fucking critical theory is not intellectually valid at all. Anyway, okay, I'm glad that got shot down. Ukraine hit Russia. Russia hit Ukraine. We talked about this yesterday. All right. Hungary just came in and started installing air defense systems on its border right up next to Ukraine. I'm thinking that this is because they want to help try to defend Ukraine against missiles coming back from Russia. Thing is, Russia is claiming that they are not going to be able to. So we will see if these new systems that Russia is employing that seem novel, but kind of like ICBM related or ATAC related. I can't remember what they were saying yesterday. I went a little more into it yesterday. We'll see if they really are able to bypass these protections. And then the UN Nuclear Agency Board condemns Iran for the second time this year for failing to fully cooperate with nuclear inspections. Iran is hiding nuclear bombs. Iran intentions with Israel are growing. I have seen war games that predict the beginning of a worldwide nuclear war, starting with Iran and Israel bombing each other. And it like escalates through treaties to everybody else and their mother. Bro, this is not good. Escalation in Russia is not good. This with Iran is not good. Like I said yesterday, we need to de-escalate. What are we doing? Anyway, so fucking last thing here. Boom. The UN punts adoption of digital IDs across Africa. The UN has chosen Africa as its testbed for its digital ID adoption. Digital IDs are essentially going to end up functioning and are intended to function like those vaccine passports, on your phone. It's an app, you know what I mean? It's unified with your ID, your physical ID. And so you've got a digital identity, a physical identity. You can use it to check into places, etc. So they decided Africa is the place to start pushing this. Africa, including Somalia, Zambia, Ethiopia, to adopt the model governance framework for digital legal identity. So I guess these governments are small enough. You can throw enough money at their face, and they'll let you test your neo-feudalist technocratic surveillance system, right? So that's exciting. So yeah, guys, that was the news today as I felt it was relevant. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully I got some more for you on Monday. Actually, it's just pretty fun. I love doing this. So yeah, looking forward to talking to you guys on Monday. And I hope you guys have an awesome day. Check out itschromo.com for articles about the world around you and how to understand the world around you. Please check out itschromoshop.com to inspire critical thinking skills in the people that are around you and in your inner circle in life and just the people that you walk by on a daily basis. I love you guys. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you. And I'm going to see you guys on the next one.